Welcome back to Coins Numismatic Series. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic and beloved pieces of American coinage history, the Lincoln wheat penny. For over a century, these coins have fascinated collectors with their beautiful design, their connection to history, and the treasure-hunting thrill of finding rare dates and varieties. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 wheat pennies in fine condition, each with its own unique story, value, and collector appeal. So, grab your magnifying glass, sit back, and let's begin our numismatic journey. 1957 D wheat penny 1-cent coin. The 1957 D wheat penny is one of the later issues in the wheat cent series, and though it's relatively common compared to some earlier dates, it still carries immense appeal. Historical context. By 1957, America was entering the post-war boom era. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, the Cold War was in full swing, and the American economy was thriving. The Lincoln wheat cent, first introduced in 1909, was still circulating strongly, but it was nearing the end of its production run. Within just 2 years, in 1959, the reverse design would switch from wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial, making these late wheat pennies historically significant as last of an era coins. Design features. The obverse of the 1957 D wheat penny features the classic Victor David Brenner portrait of Abraham Lincoln, introduced in 1909 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The inscriptions include, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the year 1957 to the right. Just below the year, you'll find the D mint mark, identifying it as a Denver Mint issue. On the reverse, we have the simple yet elegant wheat ears design, 2 stylized stalks of wheat framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Above that rests the Latin motto, E pluribus unum. Mintage and production. The Denver Mint struck an astonishing 1,051,342,000 wheat pennies in 1957. This high mintage means the coin is generally abundant, even in higher grades, making it one of the more accessible wheat pennies for collectors. Market value. In circulated fine condition, the 1957 D wheat penny usually trades for 5 to 20 cents. In higher uncirculated grades, particularly with strong luster and clean surfaces, prices can range from $2 to $5, with certified gem specimens reaching $30 or more. Errors and varieties. While common, the 1957 D wheat penny also comes with some fascinating error varieties. Collectors actively seek out repunched mint marks, RPM's multiple impressions of the D mint mark, highly collectible. Double dies, some examples show light doubling on the obverse lettering. Off-center strikes, coins misaligned during striking, which can fetch significantly higher premiums. Collector interest. Even though the 1957 D is a common date, it holds strong interest because it represents the final years of the wheat penny series. Collectors often keep it as part of a complete wheat penny album. And its affordability makes it a great entry point for beginners while still being historically meaningful for seasoned numismatists. 1951 wheat penny 1-cent coin. Moving backward a few years, the 1951 wheat penny is another classic mid-20th century issue that bridges the wartime and post-war generations. Historical context. In 1951, Harry S. Truman was president, the Korean War was ongoing, and the U.S. economy was transitioning from the immediate post-World War II period. Coins of this era were heavily used in commerce, which means finding nicely preserved specimens today can be a rewarding challenge. Design features. Like all wheat cents, the obverse showcases Brenner's profile of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse carries the famous wheat ears design. What makes the 1951 coin interesting is the absence of a mint mark on Philadelphia issues, contrasted with Denver and San Francisco issues marked with a D or S. Mintage and production. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 284,576,000 wheat pennies in 1951, while the Denver Mint struck 625,355,000, and the San Francisco Mint contributed 136,010,000. These figures put the 1951 issues solidly into the common category, but the San Francisco version is scarcer compared to its counterparts. Market value. In fine condition, most 1951 wheat pennies trade for 5 to 15 cents. However, uncirculated and certified gems can climb to $30 to $50, with full red examples being especially desirable. San Francisco issues generally bring a small premium. Errors and varieties. Some notable collectible varieties for the 1951 include repunched mint marks on Denver and San Francisco coins, die breaks and cuds, which are fascinating for error enthusiasts, toning varieties, as some 1951 cents develop rainbow or deep golden hues that enhance value, collector interest. The 1951 wheat penny is a solid mid-century collectible. It's not rare, but it serves as a wonderful representative of the early Cold War years. For collectors working on completing a full wheat cent set, the 1951 holds its rightful place as both historically relevant and affordable. 1944 wheat penny 1 cent coin. Now we come to one of the most famous and widely collected wheat pennies, the 1944 issue. Historical context. 1944 was a pivotal year in world history. The Second World War was raging, and the Allied invasion of Normandy, D-Day, took place that summer. The wheat penny of 1944 carries special importance because it followed the unusual 1943 steel cent issue. In 1943, due to copper shortages, the U.S. Mint struck cents in zinc-coated steel. These steel cents confused the public and caused problems in vending machines. By 1944, copper returned to cent production, largely sourced from recycled shell casings from the war. This gives the 1944 wheat penny the nickname, the shell case cent. Design features. The obverse retains the familiar image of Lincoln, with standard inscriptions. The reverse features the wheat ears design. What makes the 1944 especially symbolic is its connection to wartime recycling efforts. Americans literally helped make these coins by donating spent ammunition casings and copper scrap. Mintage and production. The 1944 wheat penny was struck in huge numbers. Philadelphia, 1,435,400,000. Denver, 430,578,000. San Francisco, 282,760,000. This combined production of over 2 billion coins makes the 1944 wheat penny one of the most common wheat cents ever minted. Market value. Because of its massive mintage, the 1944 wheat penny is usually worth 5 to 20 cents in circulated condition. However, uncirculated red examples can fetch $20 to $50, with rare gem specimens certified at MS 67 and above bringing several $100. Errors and varieties. The 1944 is famous for several incredible error coins. 1944 steel cent. A few were mistakenly struck on leftover 1943 steel planchets. These are among the rarest U.S. coins, with only around 30 known. Each can sell for tens of thousands to over $100,000 at auction. Repunched mint marks, collector's prize 1944, DRPMs. Off-metal errors, some 1944 cents were struck on foreign coin planchets, adding tremendous collector interest. Collector interest. The 1944 wheat penny is one of the cornerstones of the series. Even though common, its history tied to World War II, its sheer popularity, and the rare steel version make it one of the most famous and widely discussed Lincoln cents. Every collector, beginner or expert, holds at least one, and many search for that elusive steel error. 1945 wheat penny 1 cent coin. The 1945 wheat penny holds a special place in numismatic history, representing the very last full year of World War II. Historical context. In 1945, America was still deeply engaged in World War II, but hope was rising. By May, Germany had surrendered, and in August, the war ended after Japan's surrender following the atomic bombings. This pivotal year in history makes the 1945 wheat penny a symbol of victory and transition. Copper was still in demand for war materials, but by 1944 the U.S. Mint had already resumed copper coinage using recycled shell casings from the battlefield. These wartime pennies became known as shell case cents. Design features. The obverse design remained the timeless image of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the date 1945 to the right. Depending on the mint, a small D or S appears under the year. On the reverse, the simple wheat stalks framed the denomination and the phrase, "United States of America," a design that carried patriotic resonance during wartime. Mintage and production. The 1945 wheat penny was struck at 3 mints. Philadelphia, 1,040,515,000. Denver, 266,268,000. San Francisco, 181,770,000. Together, this exceeds 1.4 billion coins, making 1945 one of the most common wartime issues. Market value. In circulated fine condition, the 1945 cent trades for 5 to 20 cents. In uncirculated red condition, prices range from $10 to $40, with certified MS 67 examples sometimes reaching $500 or more. Errors and varieties. Collectors prize a number of 1945 errors. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, especially on the Denver and San Francisco issues. Die breaks and cuts from heavily used wartime dies. Off-center strikes are rare but can command strong premiums. Collector interest. While common, the 1945 wheat penny is historically significant. It represents the last pennies minted during wartime and is beloved by collectors completing wartime sets. Many families saved them as keepsakes from the year the war ended, giving them sentimental as well as monetary value. 1935 wheat penny 1 cent coin. Now we move back to the 1930s, a decade defined by the Great Depression. Historical context. The year 1935 was a difficult time for many Americans. Franklin D. Roosevelt was president, and the country was still reeling from the economic devastation of the Depression. Money was scarce, and coins circulated heavily, making pristine examples rare today. The Lincoln wheat penny had already been in circulation for more than 25 years by this point, and while its design was familiar, each coin from this era carries the weight of Depression-era history. Design features. The obverse again displays Lincoln's bust, while the reverse shows the classic wheat stalks. Coins of this year were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with D or S mint marks under the date for branch mint issues. Mintage and production. Production numbers were moderate. Philadelphia, 245,388,000. Denver, 47 million. San Francisco, 38,702,000. This made the Denver and San Francisco issues scarcer, and today they command greater premiums, especially in higher grades. Market value. In fine circulated condition, a 1935 cent is typically worth 25 cents to $1. For the scarcer Denver and San Francisco issues, values are higher, ranging from $1 to $5. In uncirculated condition, prices climb rapidly, with red gems fetching hundreds of dollars. Errors and varieties. The 1935 has some popular varieties. Doubled dies, especially on the obverse lettering. Repunched mint marks on Denver and San Francisco issues. Die cracks and cuds, common in this heavily circulated era. Collector interest. The 1935 wheat penny is a Depression-era collectible that tells the story of a struggling nation. Collectors love this coin for its vintage appeal, and finding well-preserved examples remains a challenge due to the heavy use of coinage during the 1930s. 1946 wheat penny 1 cent coin. The 1946 wheat penny represents America's post-war optimism and the beginning of a new era. Historical context. By 1946, the war was over. Soldiers had returned home, industry was booming, and the country was transitioning from wartime austerity to post-war prosperity. Coins of this year are significant because they were the first full-year issues made entirely after the war's end. Design features. The obverse carries Lincoln's portrait, while the reverse continues with the wheat year's design. Unlike the wartime cents of 1944 to 45, the 1946 wheat penny was no longer struck using shell casings, but standard copper planchets. Mintage and production. Mintages were high. Philadelphia, 991,655,000. Denver, 315,690,000. San Francisco, 198,100,000. Altogether, over 1.5 billion coins were struck, making this a very common issue. Market value. In fine condition, the 1946 cent is typically worth 5 to 15 cents. In uncirculated condition, prices range from $5 to $20, with certified gem red specimens reaching $100, $200. Errors and varieties. The 1946 has its share of collectible varieties. Repunched mint marks are popular among collectors. Die cracks and BIE errors, a break-in liberty that makes it appear as liberty. Striking errors like broad strikes or off-centers occasionally surface. Collector interest. The 1946 wheat penny is common, but its post-war symbolism makes it desirable. Many collectors keep it as part of a victory set that includes the wartime shell case cents and the first post-war issue. It's not rare, but it carries historical importance that resonates strongly with collectors. 1953 Wheat Penny 1-cent coin. The 1953 wheat penny is a mid-century coin that blends affordability with nostalgic value. Historical context. By 1953, the United States was in the early years of the Cold War. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, and the nation was shifting from wartime production into a booming consumer economy. The wheat penny, which had already been in circulation for more than 4 decades, was still the workhorse of daily commerce. Design features. On the obverse, Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln dominates, accompanied by, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," on the left, and the year 1953 to the right. Depending on the mint, you'll find either no mint mark, Philadelphia, a D, Denver, or an S, San Francisco, under the date. The reverse retains the classic wheat stalks, framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Mintage and production. Mintages for the 1953 wheat penny were significant. Philadelphia, 256,755,000. Denver, 700,515,000. San Francisco, 181,835,000. That's over 1.1 billion coins total, making this issue abundant. Market value. In fine condition, most 1953 cents trade for 5 to 15 cents. Denver issues are most common, while San Francisco issues sometimes bring a small premium. In uncirculated red, prices range from $5 to $30, with gem examples graded MS-67 fetching $200, $300. Errors and varieties. Collectors should watch for repunched mint marks, RPMs, especially common in the Denver issue. Die cracks that sometimes form unique patterns. Striking errors like broad strikes or misaligned dies. Collector interest. The 1953 wheat penny is affordable and easy to find, making it a favorite for beginners. It also marks the last stretch of the wheat cent era, just 6 years before the reverse change to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. Collectors value it for its nostalgic Cold War era. History and accessibility. 1920 wheat penny 1-cent coin. Now we go much further back. The 1920 wheat penny, a coin over a century old that holds strong historical and numismatic importance. Historical context. In 1920, the United States was experiencing the aftermath of World War I. The country was entering the Roaring Twenties, an era of economic growth, jazz music, and rapid industrialization. The Lincoln cent, introduced in 1909, was still a relatively new coin to the American public, and by 1920 it had already become a staple in circulation. Design features. The obverse carries Lincoln's bust, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," on the left, and the date 1920 to the right. Branch mint issues feature a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. The reverse shows the 2 wheat stalks design framing the denomination and United States of America. Mintage and production. Mintages for 1920 were very high compared to earlier wheat cents. Philadelphia, 310,165,000. Denver, 49,280,000. San Francisco, 46,220,000. The Philadelphia issue was among the first Lincoln cents to surpass 300 million in mintage. Market value. In fine circulated condition, a 1920 wheat penny is worth 50 cents to $1.50. Denver and San Francisco issues command slightly higher premiums, typically $2 to $5 in fine condition. In uncirculated condition, prices range from $25 to $100, with high-grade red specimens fetching hundreds of dollars. Errors and varieties. Collectors hunt for double dies on both obverse and reverse lettering. Repunched mint marks, especially on the Denver and San Francisco coins. Die breaks and cuts, common in early 20th century coinage. Collector interest. The 1920 wheat penny is highly desirable because of its age, its link to the Roaring Twenties, and its place in numismatic history as one of the first modern-era cents with huge mintages. Even though it's not the rarest wheat penny, it's essential in any complete set. 1947 wheat penny 1-cent coin. The 1947 wheat penny sits in the post-war era, when Americans were adjusting to prosperity after years of wartime sacrifice. Historical context. By 1947, President Harry Truman was leading the country through post-war recovery and the early stages of the Cold War. The wartime shell-casing pennies were a thing of the past, and production returned to traditional copper alloy cents. Design features. The obverse once again shows Abraham Lincoln's portrait, while the reverse continues with the wheat stalks motif. Coins were produced at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Mintage and production. Mintages for 1947 were robust. Philadelphia, 190,555,000. Denver, 194,750,000. San Francisco, 99 million. The San Francisco issue is the least common but still readily available. Market value. In fine circulated condition, the 1947 wheat penny is worth 5 to 20 cents. In uncirculated red, values range from $10 to $40, with gem-certified specimens reaching $200 plus. Errors and varieties. Popular varieties include repunched mint marks on both Denver and San Francisco issues. BIE errors in the word Liberty. Die breaks and striking errors like off-centers or clipped planchets. Collector interest. The 1947 wheat penny is affordable but symbolic of post-war America. Many collectors prize it as part of a 1940s set, which tells the story of America's transition from war to peace. While not rare, it holds strong sentimental and historical appeal. 1952 S wheat penny 1 cent coin. Our final coin is the 1952 S wheat penny, a later date issue with enduring popularity. Historical context. In 1952, America was thriving in the post-war boom, with Harry Truman finishing his presidency and Dwight Eisenhower preparing to take office. The Lincoln cent was still in its wheat ear design, but within a decade, it would transform to feature the Lincoln Memorial. Design features. The obverse features Lincoln's profile, the word Liberty to the left, and the year 1952 to the right, with a small S mint mark for San Francisco. The reverse displays the wheat stalks design framing the denomination. Mintage and production. The San Francisco Mint produced 137,800,004 pennies in 1952, making this a moderately common issue compared to Denver's massive production that year. Market value. In circulated fine condition, the 1952 S wheat penny is worth 10 to 25 cents. In uncirculated red, values range from $5 to $25, with Gem MS 67 examples fetching $200 or more. Errors and varieties. Collectors seek out. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, very common in this issue. Die chips and BIE errors, adding uniqueness to individual coins. Toning varieties, as San Francisco issues often develop attractive colors. Collector interest. The 1952 S wheat penny is beloved by collectors for being one of the last San Francisco minted wheat cents. While common, it carries historical value as part of the series' twilight years. It's an affordable yet meaningful addition to any collection. Conclusion. And there you have it, the top 10 wheat pennies in fine condition. From the wartime issues like the 1944 and 1945 shell case cents, to the Depression-era 1935, and the twilight coins of the 1950s like the 1957 D and 1952 S, each of these pennies carries its own story of American history, design, and collector appeal. For new collectors, these coins are the perfect gateway into numismatics. For seasoned hobbyists, they're reminders of the richness and depth of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. The wheat penny is more than just a coin, it's a piece of America's past, a tangible link to the people, struggles, and triumphs of the 20th century. So the next time you see one in your change, take a moment to appreciate the history it represents. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Wheat Penny series, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Coin's Numismatic series, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration of numismatic treasures. Until next time, happy collecting!